we're back. Reverend Mitchell.
Yes, Mike.
As chairman emeritus and founder of the MLK activities in Savannah, I'm wondering if you can, and I'm sure you can, give us a history of just how, I know it's a complicated story, but to the best that you can, give us a history of how we got to where we are now.
Mike, we got where we are now. It began, I was called to Connors Temple Baptist Church as pastor in '74, and I was called out of Atlanta, Georgia, here to this town in '74, where I graduated from Morehouse School of Religion, May '74, but I finished all requirements December '73. So coming here fresh out of Atlanta, and people from all over the world, as African Americans, look to Atlanta, and for those progressive white brothers and sisters and other minorities, look to Atlanta as a mecca for change.
Yes.
I mean, if anybody's doing good business and different kind of attitude, it's in Atlanta, Georgia.
Yes.
So when we got here, being fresh out of seminary and full of ideas, and being around where you're used to seeing African Americans in charge, in authority, and also working, seeing how whites work together. And then I got here in Savannah, Georgia, and saw a completely different kind of attitude and the way people do business, and just the way folk reacted. It was kind of like plantation and owner kind of a thing, and whatever else got me really upset, and it wasn't only with me, I think other folk heard it, because we had the Coalition of Black Women, and also we had the Emancipation Association, which was led by Dr. Ben Gay at that time, and we worked together because that is a association. That's the association that we used to spearhead, because I was working in there as program chairman, and also with Ben Gay. So what we wanted to establish at that time, we had the Irish parade that was there. Greeks had theirs and Jews had theirs, but it was all ethnic. And so what was happening, if things are to change in a town, then some grunt work has to be done. And Dr. King's philosophy was to bring all mankind together, regardless of gender, sex, or whatever. But the main thing was that what got us upset at that time was that our children, it was no really moral fabric in there. I mean, they were celebrating St. Patty's Day parade, but it wasn't enough religious activities. And also, African Americans were not involved to the extent of decision making in that thing. But what really pissed it was that the educators who were afraid to express themselves also saw that they needed something to really teach Black history, and also needed some kind of platform to inform everybody about African Americans' accomplishments. And so we started with the celebration. As you know, then at that time, there was a move on to make Dr. King's birthday a national holiday.
Right.
So that's how we started. We started at our church in the social area, meeting and talking about what needed to be done, and to make sure, and not only that, but there were grave issues that faced our community, not only as African American, but poor people, regardless of color, because I do believe that it's more classism than it is racism. And the only way that we can really reach poor white people is to understand that those who have and those who don't have, we're all in the same boat, whether you are Black or white. If you're poor, you're poor. And I think that's what Dr. King was trying to say, is that if all of us work together, and those of us who don't have, if we come together as a whole, then we can make a change. But as long as folk can separate us by race and by gender, by sex, and then Satan has already conquered us. So we started that to make sure that African Americans see what contributions that we have made as a people, and that America itself is stronger And a lot of the leading inventions, stoplights, shoes, and refrigeration and air conditioning, all done by African Americans who were ex-slaves, sons of slave owners, and etc. So we started there, and we started having here in 1979 because we had to move on to make January 15th, which was the actual birth of Dr. King's birthday, a legal holiday.
Right.
So we started in 79, and from 79 to 82, we went to City Council to try to get a holiday established as early as late 80 and 81, and we finally got it, them to accept it in 82.
Well, I see now, this being the 19th year, the events go from December 14th, say, to April 4th.
Yeah.
Was it always like that, or how did it get to be such a wide range of activities?
Well, I was the founder, chairman, president, had those three titles all at one time. And
had a full plate.
Yeah. From 79 to 1991, we had a department of 8 departments. And that was from education, worship, memorial, businessmen's breakfast, ladies, women's luncheon, all the way from the parade, voter registration, and also the blood drive. So we had 8 departments. So then why cram all of that in just one day?
Right.
Or try to cram it all in 1 week. Let's kind of spread it out, because we can do a blood drive anytime, voter registration, and we can do that all the time, of which we do had it during memorial services. But you had a businessman breakfast that was real large, and the whole purpose of that was to bring employers and employees together, to see how we think. And because sometimes we can be an employer, or we can be president or chairman of the board, until we lose sight and also feelings for the employee or for the layperson. So we felt that was a way that the community, and see, you can't do business in Savannah, Georgia. Savannah is hard to do business in. I mean, you do business, but my experience has been is that the attitude of doing businesses with the races is kind of 1940s or 50s. And so what we want to do is that you never get to know people if you're never around them.
Absolutely.
So if you can get a chance to eat, break bread, strike conversations, then you'll find out, regardless of your color, what you really thought is not what it is, or what you seem to think was not what its actuality is about the person.
Right.
So then we have to interact. That's how come integration of schools to me is very important, because I grew up in a segregated society and integrated school my last senior year at high school. Is that when you're never around people, you can always assume what other folks say, but it's not like that when you come together. So you really realize that we're all flesh and blood. We all eat peas and cabbage and cornbread. And you find out that all of us are very human.
Yes.
So then the way of doing business is that our minds have to change.
Absolutely.
But I do think the contest winner, the young girl, really has the key to the whole movement where we stood, or where we stand as the association, is that if we change the heart, if the heart is changed, then we can conquer the mind.
On that note, Reverend Mitchell, when we return, we're going to discuss the specific dates of some of the activities and elaborate more on what Reverend Mitchell has said. So just stick around. We've got a few surprises for you.
If you only had a moment and the world was listening, what would you say about peace? You could say recognizing the oneness of mankind is fundamental to real peace. Racism is loose in the world. It's one of our oldest and most destructive evils. Racism violates the dignity of man and has no place in a peaceful world. True unity requires compassion and loving kindness towards all peoples of the earth. Peace is more than just an end to war. Conflicts just as deadly are raging on hidden battlefields in our hearts and minds. Let's talk peace, real peace, racial, religious, social, economic, personal peace. Peace is possible. because it too begins in the heart. A thought for peace from the Baha'i Faith.
Hello. I would like to read a statement from the National Spiritual Assembly of the Baha'is of the United States. America's peace, prosperity, and even her standing in the international community depend upon the healing of the wounds of racism and the building of a society in which people of diverse backgrounds live as members of one family. I thought that's insightful and a key to what we believe and what all right-thinking people should believe.
Exactly, and Dr. King also said something in his quote, and I can't quote it verbatim, but I'd be glad to talk with you some other time when I refresh myself of all of his quotes. And one of my favorite is talking about the brotherhood of man, how we are so interwoven together.
Yes.
So really what affects you affects me. And so whatever hurts me hurts you. So we are indirectly connected.
Yes, sir.
So then that's when he talks about the brotherhood of man, and that we are all one because our God is a God of oneness.
One God.
As one God.
Absolutely. Sir, I'm going to take this time to read the events, the schedule of events. I'll start with the Women's Luncheon, which is on January the 10th at 12 noon at the Marriott Riverfront Hotel. We'll be flashing a phone number that you can call for more information. On January the 11th at 7 p.m., there's going to be an interfaith service at St. John Baptist Church, East Hartridge Street. Then there'll be a blood and bone marrow drive and health screening on Wednesday, January the 14th from 6 to 10 a.m. Then there is the Gospel Fest. MLK Gospel Fest, Friday, January the 16th at 7 p.m. at First Evergreen Baptist Church on Bolton Street. Then, here's one of my favorites, the Business Community Breakfast, Saturday, January 17th at 8:30 a.m., once again at the Marriott Riverfront Hotel. The Educational Program and Career Fair will be Saturday, January the 17th at 10 a.m. at Savannah Votech, Savannah Technical Institute. Then, of course, there is the Memorial Worship Service, which will be Sunday, January the 18th at 3 o'clock p.m. Along with the Youth Extravaganza, by the way, the memorial service will be at the Savannah Civic Center in the Johnny Mercer Theater. We don't want to forget that. The Youth Extravaganza will be Sunday, January the 18th at 7 o'clock to 10 o'clock p.m. Once again at the Johnny Mercer Theater, Savannah Civic Center. Then there's the parade, of course, Monday, January the 19th at 10 a.m. The parade route will begin at Forsyth. You guys should get there early for that. The Freedom Ball, which this year was moved a little bit. It will be Friday, January the 23rd at 9 o'clock p.m. to 2 o'clock a.m. at the Savannah Civic Center Ballroom. I've always had a lot of fun at this. And then there's the scholarship ceremony, which will be April the 4th. And, of course, we'll flash a phone number for those of you who want more information. Reverend Mitchell.
Yes.
We were discussing during the break what these events are really about is unity.
Yes.
Where are we and where do we need to go as far as having the total community involved?
Okay. First of all, before we say that, we do want to acknowledge Dr. Brown, Carol Brown, who is the present president of the MLK festivities.
Yes.
She's been president since 1993.
Yes.
So we want to congratulate her for these
Yes. Yes, we do.
activities. Where do we need to go in order to get to unity? First of all, Mike, people have to want to be unified. And if you want to be unified, or if you want to seek that oneness that God talks about, then the person has to intermingle. Let me tell you one of the faults that we have here in Savannah, Georgia, and in some parts of the nation. I mean, I work all over the nation. In that it seems as though that it's not hard to get African Americans to work with white leadership in something that they want to do. But then when it's African American led, any other led minority leads, then whites don't work together. Like for instance, you take Martin Luther King's birthday. His original birthday is on the 15th.
Yes.
And Dr. Brown and I have discussed this, and we're going to write a letter to Savannah Symphony. Now, why would they want to have a symphony, having invited Ray Charles on the 15th, when there's only one Observance Day Association in town? How come we couldn't come together? The Savannah Symphony has something, and we got people who participate in it, young blacks and also some black participate in it. How come that leadership, knowing it's his birthday, how come we couldn't come together and sit down and talk about bringing Ray Charles together? But no, it seems like the attitude here is once things get started, then we do our own thing because we don't want to share. So we hope the Savannah Symphony, which they will be hearing from us on that. So then, what I'm saying, people have to want to do. And then if those who want to do, then you have those who know it is right to do. And you have those who will do. Then some folk don't want to be criticized. But we will never be able to come together based on public opinion. We will sometimes have to go against the grain.
Yes.
And whether we know it or not, we are being thrust together anyway, whether we're knowing it or not.
Yes.
But if we would try to come and understand each other and try to work with each other, I think we'd do a better job. We spend more money by being divided. We cause more grief by being divided.
Yes.
There's a lot of misunderstanding, and there's a lot of pain, and there's a lot of hurt for us not coming together trying to understand each other. But I do believe that day is coming.
And I think you'll agree that as we celebrate Dr. King's birthday now, when he was alive, he certainly was at the center of turmoil quite a bit. So we can't, those of us who sometimes find ourselves in that position should to persevere because we're in good company. And Reverend Mitchell, after this break, we'll come back and we'll finish along these same lines.
Okay, Mike.
We'll be right back after this message. Hello, I'm back. Reverend Mitchell, you said a wonderful quote during the break, and I'm just going to let you take that quote and tell us where we should go from here.
Okay. Dr. King has another favorite quote of mine. It says like this: "The measure of a man is not where he sits in comfort and convenience, but where he stands in the midst of controversy." And so what I'm saying to say there is that if we're going to be about anything, it will not be in comfort and convenience. All the great leaders of our world, including the Christ child, since we're in this season of the year, had to come through some controversies to be where he is. So then where we have to go, good people going to have to start taking a stand. And not all white people are bad, and not all black people are bad. And we got some good white folks, and we have some good black people, and all over. So what we have to start with these activities. Support them.
Right.
Learn to go to one another's community. And then you realize that all people are the same. They want safe communities, safe homes, a good place to get a school, for their children to go to school and get a good, decent education. And everybody wants to have a decent job. So I think where we stand is to start participating in these activities. And don't be afraid to get in exchanges of what one believes and one's opinion, because all of us don't believe in the same thing, but some things that are common that we can come together on.
Absolutely.
And that is one faith, one God, and one baptism. So we can believe in that. And so we encourage everyone to support this Martin Luther King Observance Day Association, regardless of what color or gender that you are, and just remember what he meant to our society. And you can see where the winds are flowing back to the 50s. And those of us who call ourselves good or liberal or whatever you want to say, or righteous, then we're going to have to participate. We're going to have to stand up, and we're going to have to stand up for what we believe, and regardless of what folks say. And I think that we can begin to do that. I think we'll be okay.
And as we said before the break, it's funny. When a person is alive like Dr. King, or the Christ child, or in my faith, our founder, Baha'u'llah, their life is very tumultuous.
Yes, yes.
They suffer a great deal, and only in the fullness of time do
Yeah.
you realize how much they loved you.
And that's the reason in this kind of fight, life, or this great drama of life, one has to have principles.
Yes.
And once you have your principles, you have your belief, and you have your vision. And that way, when you have that, then I'm not threatened by you or threatened by anybody else. But we can come together and talk because I know where I want to go.
Yes.
And I know where we need to go as a country.
Yes.
If we don't come together on our own, we are going to actually destroy ourselves. And America does need to come together. Savannah, Georgia, Chatham County needs to come together.
And of course, this whole dialogue is about the love of America.
Exactly. And it goes back to the theme winner again. If you change the heart,
Right.
you know, you can change the mind.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Brother
you, Mike.
Mitchell.
I appreciate it.
If you've heard anything you like and you'd like to talk about it some more, call the number at the end of the show. Until next time,